Want to share with you what I call my personal business plan. This is goal planning, intentions. This in the past was New Year's resolutions, is where this started. And it's since evolved into being the place that I gather my thoughts and think about where I want to put my time and effort. And I thought it would be interesting to share that with you so you can get a concrete example of how I do that and what mine looks like. This is what I go through at the end of every year to review on and set intentions for the following year. I find it interesting how often I come back, sometimes a couple times a year, but really the process is what I want to share, more the format that I find has gotten me to a place that it's intention focused and there's a point that makes it a lot easier for me to actually follow through with some of these. Although this is for personal goals, the same applies whether it's specific to career or if you're managing projects or strategic initiatives. A similar approach takes place. So the first thing is that I have buckets. Now, everyone's buckets might be a little bit different. I would maybe start with the different aspects of your life that you want to put intention into and have some focus and maybe progress in. So you'll see what mine are. They're pretty generic, that they would apply well to most. You might want to start with these, and then as you develop your own plan, tweak it to something that makes a little bit more sense for you. My first bucket here is health. In the past, I noticed that I had goals that seemed like they were what I should be focusing on, or they almost seemed goals for the sake of a goal. So at one point in the past, I had a goal of hitting a certain weight or going to the gym a certain number of times a week. And I just couldn't connect with it because I didn't see the why. And so that's this next piece here is the why or the intention. So my why under health is that I want to be in a physical condition that allows me to enjoy my favorite physical activities without pain, to be able to be competitive and have fun doing any random physical activity. So if my friends invite me out to play some ultimate frisbee, that I'm able to enjoy that, be competitive, and not get hurt doing it. I included a caveat here that health activities should focus on injury prevention and long-term health. In university, I had an unhealthy relationship with body and physical fitness where it was about going to the gym to get muscles to attract women. That was my why. And so I want to be clear here that the activities that I want to pursue are focused on injury prevention and long-term health to hit that why and the intention above. And so now that I have my why, it makes it a little bit easier to focus on the tactics or the what. And so I've broken that out for myself in activity, food, and sleep. I think a lot of people will resonate with this as well. Exercise, eat well, get your sleep. I want to make sure that I'm getting specific enough that I have clear ways that I can achieve this why. I think SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and some sort of a timeline or measure. As a high level for physical activity, I just said move your body with intention 2 times every week. So this might mean that I'm going for a long walk, a run, whatever that is. It doesn't matter what it is, just do it with intention. And I think that level of simplicity, not worried about how long am I doing it, what it is, has made it a lot easier to actually meet the intention. Underneath everything else here is examples. So an easy way for me to just think about what do I enjoy doing and how am I going to be able to easily meet this. So I don't have to do restorative or yin yoga, but I do know that in the past I've enjoyed it, and that's probably a good example of a way that I might be able to meet this. I think health is my best example. It's the first one I always review, so it's been tweaked the most often. I phrased it in a simple way. So for food, avoid processed and fast digesting carbs. Chips are probably out. And again, it's avoid. It's not don't, it's just avoid. Eat mainly vegetables. It's simple enough. And then here are some additional specific tactics on helping me attain that level above. So shopping for food on the weekend, doing meal prep for breakfast and lunch, keeping meals simple, repeating what works. This last one, maybe a little more from a sustainability perspective and thinking about the environment, is not letting food go to waste and forces you to make use of what's in your fridge. So that's really the process that I followed for most of these. Relationships, developing meaningful relationships by sharing vulnerabilities and mutual learning, empathizing and listening. This sharing vulnerabilities piece, mutual learning, you'll see this a lot in who I am. I've found that sharing that vulnerability is what helps to build strong relationships and helps me grow and learn and just feel connected to people. I'll bring attention to this group trip. This is something new that I added, but in reflecting on this last year, or last couple of years, one thing that I've definitely found is that I love having extended trips with people in places outside of my home, in places outside of Calgary. And that brings a sense of adventure, gives us time to connect. And I try to be intentional with the wording. So here I say plan the group travel trip for summer and winter, because there's something about having the trip to look forward to that I found gives me excitement to look forward to it. Career is my second big value here, or bucket. So provide value to the organization that I'm working with by engaging in work I find personally meaningful. Remain in an uncomfortable edge at work by being exposed to areas that I'm weak or pushing strengths beyond my current limits. One of the things career-wise that I want to be intentional about is that to improve and get to the next level career-wise is to focus on exploiting my strengths. And I want to be clear that I'm always pushing in that direction. I've been focusing a lot on this personal branding side of things. It's the beginning of 2021 right now. In the latter part of this year, I am looking to get into a master's program. So I'm doing a lot in terms of moving in a bit of a different direction with my career, getting more into data analytics and machine learning, artificial intelligence, that stuff. And so there will be some rebranding that I need to do from the project management, energy, and emergency response side that I'm coming from. Another thing that I love, the GTD method, or getting things done, is a book that I live by. So in terms of how I manage my day-to-day, love these things of having my top 3 priorities for every day, having periods of deep work. There's a new app that I've seen is just coming out on my Outlook. I believe if you are with an organization that's using the Microsoft suite, you likely need your administrator to allow this. But I have a Cortana briefing that comes out every week and every morning that identifies whether or not I've actually planned focus time. So it'll automatically go through my calendar and drop in 2-hour sections of time for me to focus. And recently it's put in a 2-hour block for learning, which I'm surprised I haven't done this before, and I love it. I've got a question mark around career progression. It's obviously, this is all very much a work in progress. I've got a piece around community that I found is important. So being part of something that's bigger than myself, participating in activities that make use of my skills while connecting with other people. So this is the volunteering side of things, but contributing to my community in a bigger way. Fun is another big bucket. Enjoy your life, engage in activities that make you feel fulfilled. One of the things this past year that's worked well for me is keeping this even less specific. And so what I've done now is I give myself permission to go all in on something that I'm interested in. This last year, Dungeons and Dragons has taken off. I went with some friends to a intro session and just fell in love with it. And so now I've got 5 Dungeons and Dragons books. I got the dice. I've got all the nerdy stuff, and I love it, and I'm having so much fun with it. And so this has been about making sure that I leave the time and the space to pursue something I'm interested in. And when I do find that shiny object that I'm curious about, to give myself the latitude to say, go all in, try it out. If you don't enjoy it, that's okay. I don't want to box myself in to say, this year I'm going to focus on my photography. If that's something that I'm feeling inspired to get engaged with, then yeah, do it. Go all in. Give myself the time, give myself the money, watch the YouTube videos, whatever that might be, but go all in on that thing. And this is actually just, I've loved this. It gives me a lot of latitude and fun. Spirituality and mental health, deepening, developing, and maintaining a personal connection with a higher power. I am very spiritual. I grew up Catholic, but the way that I define a higher power for myself has evolved over time between cultural influences from family, Eastern religions, and Zen has had a big influence on what higher power means to me. My recovery process from drugs has been a big part of that. Attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings and the idea of higher power being in people around us has definitely influenced that. So I definitely use a capital H, capital P, higher power here, because it's a lot of different things depending on the context. And then finances, having financial flexibility to execute activities in line with my values, having a reserve to draw from, and being financially independent at 55. So I'll just touch on this one. This concept, I think, was inspired from a podcast interview between Ramit Singh, I think, who wrote the book I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and Jordan Harbinger from the podcast Jordan Harbinger Show. And the intention here is that, similar to going all in on activities, is understanding where do I want to spend money and cranking the dial up on those things that are in line with my values. So if you love food and exploring food, then crank up the dial on going out to restaurants if that's your jam. If you're all about shoes and you love having the newest sneakers, then fill your closet. Go all in on those things, but then don't waste money on the things that aren't aligned with your values. So that is my process as a whole. And at least once a year, I'll go back into this. I found that just setting that intention and focusing on these big why questions and these higher level move your body with intention wording has been all I need to do. I don't track this stuff. I'm not diligent in KPIs and habit tracking. I've tried bullet journals. It doesn't work for me, but just setting the intention helps me follow through on that. And I think the other piece, coming back this year, I actually applied something from Tim Ferriss, which was doing a review of what things were positive, what things were negative, and then looking through for those trends. And this is where I came with this idea of traveling and looking forward to travel, exploring new environments, even if that means walking on a different route than I usually take. Food, I realize, is a huge part of my life that I enjoy. Philanthropy is something that I enjoy doing. Teaching others is something that I didn't realize just how important it is to me. Essentially, the review is pulling up a calendar and doing a review back on every single week and seeing, what did I do? Is that a positive thing or a negative thing? And after a while, you find these trends. I think this is a good sign that my trends in the negative are pretty low. All in all, I think I'll continue. I like going through and just reviewing the year and thinking what's worked, what hasn't, and then pulling these trends back into this bigger life values. And I've definitely found it has very much evolved to this point. For me, getting something out there has been great, and it's given me a place to start and a place to focus. So I hope that you got a little bit something out of this for yourself, and maybe that inspired some ways that you might be able to do some of your own goal planning. For myself, this has worked well, and I've shared it with a lot of friends, and it's even nice to reflect with friends on some of these things and get their feedback as well on things that work. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for checking it out.